I love shooting people. In games, that is.
Second guy behind us, second guy.
Nothing compares to that feeling of launching up a first-person shooter after a long day, choosing your loadout of choice. For me, it's the standard issue King Von loadout, a Draco and a Glock with a stick, hopping into a map and wrecking some noobs. Look at that action. Look at all those bright, flashy icons. Plus 100 points for a kill. Oh hell yeah, whatever that means. I love meaningless progression. Give me more. Give me those UAVs and chopper strikes. I'm such a hero. Man, I'm having such a good time playing this game right now. I can just turn my brain off and shoot at all those cool characters on this really small map. Thank goodness for first-person shooter games, thank goodness for fun, and thank goodness for all that yummy dopamine in my brain. Now what if I told you that you can play a first-person shooter game that isn't fun at all? Like not even the slightest. Welcome to Squad.
Holy shit, there's so many of them. Get him, man, get him. Damn, dude.
Yeah, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you.
Crossing the bridge.
The first-person shooter that's not too far from a hiking simulator. I decided to pick this game up because I saw some really fun gameplay for this game on YouTube and there hasn't been a good Battlefield game in years. I also just got a really good gaming laptop and wanted to try out this whole milsim thing, thinking it could be fun. I was so naive. Going from regular first-person shooter games like Call of Duty and Battlefield to Squad was like going from crack
What the
to green tea. You have to try really hard and know what you're doing in Squad to have fun. It's not gonna just let you have fun from the get-go. That would be too easy. What are you, a big goo goo gaga baby that needs to be entertained? Or are you a real man? That's what I thought. Now shut up and hike for 30 actual real life minutes to the objective and pray you don't get decked by an infantry fighting vehicle on the way there.
Say, man, let me get a dollar, man.
I ain't got no dollar.
You're a lie.
That's for them cheering.
Them cheering.
Got him. You will have to start your hike again. Something new was happening to me while I was playing a Squad. I was playing a first-person shooter where I had to do the unthinkable. I had to actually think about what I was doing beyond comparing stats for attachments. I had to coordinate with my squad. I had to communicate with my teammates. I had to be semi-useful. This feels like a job and I already have one of those. Why would I ever want to play this game? Let me pump the brakes and try my hardest to explain exactly what Squad is. Squad is a first-person shooter where the teams are divided into 9 squads. That's it. Thanks for watching. No, I'm just kidding.
LOL.
The teams then spawn on opposite sides of a huge map and compete to capture and hold objectives throughout the map. Sounds just like any other first-person shooter, just bigger, right? You could definitely say that, but you'd be wrong. In this game, you aren't allowed to have fun. Take away everything that makes those other first-person shooter games fun. Customizing your gear, having cool skins, spawning in close to the action, fast-paced gameplay, rewards for playing well, hell, even seeing your enemy isn't allowed in this game. You have to really work for it. This game prides itself on quote-unquote realism. What that means essentially is that the game is boring until something fun and exciting happens, but we'll get to that later. The game is realistic, no customizing your gear, preset skins, realistic damage, and realistic engagements. The key to winning a match in this game is communication, knowing your equipment, using it well, and thinking ahead. If you want to play as a lone wolf, you will not last long in this game. In this game, you are to stick with your squad and listen to orders given by the squad leader. Coordinate, plan ahead, play smart, and win the match. Hi, I'm your host, the Ghost with the Most. Today, we're talking about Squad. On my channel, I do philosophical and cultural analysis of video games, movies, books, TV shows, and other random topics. If you like what you see, and if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe and like if you want to see more of this. That's it. I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. I love dopamine. I'm an addict. My substance of choice is Instagram Reels, and for the real hardcore stuff, getting a match once a week on Tinder. I love fast action, fast fighting, and fast dying. In the usual FPS games I play, the action is always right there, fed directly into my lizard brain like some sort of CIA MK Ultra experiment, but instead of being brainwashed into unaliving JFK, I'm brainwashed to think that I want to unlock a Cookie Monster pajama skin from my character. Spawn in, shoot guys, get points, unlock gun or a skin, die, respawn, and go again. That's all I know how to do. Then I decided to pick up Squad. Now I'm coordinating attack plans, staring at the map, communicating with other actual human beings, and using realistic weaponry for my faction. What do you mean I can't be a Chinese PLA soldier with a Draco and a Glock with a stick? What do you mean that's not realistic? Playing Squad, I found myself cautiously hiking through the woods in formation with my other squad members, receiving orders from our squad leader, who is a 16-year-old Finnish guy, by the way. I'm watching the tree lines, I'm listening for vehicles and shots in the distance, I'm providing much needed ammo to my squad mates, and providing fire support from a distance. I was thinking ahead. I was planning. No, I didn't feel like a hero playing this game. I don't feel like a one-man army, but I did feel like a soldier. I felt like another cog in the machine. I wasn't facing down the entire enemy team and getting a pentakill, then unlocking the AC-130. I wasn't sliding around the map like the floor was made of wet tiles. I wasn't dolphin diving through windows. I was doing something very, very different. I was holding the damn line with my team. I was providing important information on where the enemy was and where they were attacking us from. I was dragging my injured teammates back to safety to get patched up by a medic. I was laying down suppressing fire. I was receiving important orders. I was communicating. I was getting overrun because a Logi truck with all the ammo got blown up on the way here, and I had no more bullets left to fight. By the time the firefight was over, I found myself sweating, breathing heavily, and feeling relief that finally the firefight was done. That's when I finally understood it. In that moment, I understood Squad. Then I decided to make this video.
Okay, I'm cold. I should be clear. Port fuel low.
Did you know that it takes more or less 20 rounds to eliminate one enemy soldier in a regular AAA first-person shooter game? After you miss a few times, run after your enemy, exchange some hits back and forth, it takes about 20 rounds and on average 4 to 5 accurate hits to take an enemy down. The encounter usually lasts a couple of seconds, and when all is said and done, you reload your gun and seek out another player. Did you know that on average in modern combat it takes around 25,000 small arm rounds, upwards of 60,000 small arm rounds just to incapacitate one soldier? You heard me right. You may be thinking to yourself, what the hell are these people aiming at? Once you play one match of Squad, you will completely understand why this is the case. With no hit markers or indicators telling you whether you hit your mark or not, and the risk of being sent back to base, you'll want to be sure that your enemy has been turned into a casualty. In most modern combat situations, precise shots are not the goal. Rather, suppressing fire and covering fire are the most important. When I was a kid, I remember asking my dad, who was in the military, if soldiers ever had to wear diapers. My dad was confused and said of course they didn't, before asking why would I ever think that. My response was, I don't know, but I actually did know. I had a very good reason for asking this. It was because in the games I played, where there were army men, they were constantly running around and shooting at each other. I actually thought that this is what war looked like. I'm not joking. When my dad told me he was in the army, I thought he was doing this. I thought this is what the army looked like. A few years later, when I grew up a little, my dad told me what he actually did in the army. He was a truck driver. I was so confused and a little disappointed. What do you mean you drove a truck? Why would you need to drive a truck in a war? That sounded so boring. I imagined my dad as being this cool special forces guy with a kitted out gun, just like the army guys on the Xbox. Of course, I grew up and learned that driving trucks is a very important thing for any war operation, because if you don't have the guys driving the trucks, you don't have a war. I learned that even more when playing Squad, when during a match we were running low on ammo, and the truck driver took forever to bring the all-important munitions to the front line where the enemy was practically at our doorstep. I learned to respect my dad's role in the military a lot more after that. Yes, in Squad there are logistics. Like I mentioned before, it takes upwards of 60,000 rounds just to take one enemy out of the equation. All those bullets you shoot and all those grenades you throw have to come from somewhere. You can't just whip out magazine after magazine from your rear end like our dear friend Captain Price. In Squad, someone has to volunteer to drive munitions from the headquarters all the way down to the front lines and forward operating bases. This brave volunteer has to avoid enemy infantry, armored vehicles, and helicopters. The truck drivers don't just deliver ammo, but also building materials. That's right, in this game you can build what's called a forward operating base, or a FOB, and I'm not talking about immigrants. These forward operating bases are crucial for victory. You can spawn at these bases and get ammo. Squad leaders also build various machine gun emplacements, stationary anti-tank emplacements, and ammo boxes, as well as sandbag emplacements and other defensive fortifications. These are super important for your team and need to be protected at all costs. You, as a regular soldier, need to whip out your shovel and help build these emplacements. This is how your average game of squad starts off. You choose a squad, choose your role, hop in a vehicle with the rest of your squad, and drive up to wherever your team decides to build a forward operating base. You'll spend the first 10 minutes of this game driving up to the objective, placing emplacements and the forward operating base before waiting for next orders. In other first-person shooters, the match would have already been wrapping up by now, considering more or less 10 minutes have passed. In squad, you probably haven't even encountered an enemy yet. After you build the forward operating base, you and your squad will probably leave the vehicle behind and hike to the next objective. Yes, you will hike to the next objective through plains, woods, urban cities, or deserts. This is taking a while, huh? This isn't what I would call riveting gameplay. You probably haven't even gotten a chance to shoot your weapon, let alone do something exciting. This is because the storm is gathering, dear player. You're about to find out why this game is so compelling for many. Maybe while you're hiking with your squad, you hear a couple of shots shoot off in the distance. Maybe you start feeling it, that excitement that something is going to happen. Then you encounter it. An enemy squad or a vehicle. Whichever it may be, one thing is for certain. You're about to be shown what squad is all about. Shots ring out, you hit the deck, and the boredom is suddenly and violently put to an end. One of your squad members drop, and you're taking fire. Worst part is, you don't even know from where. Suddenly, the squad radios turn on, with players exchanging all types of information on where the enemy might be. Your down friend is yelling for a medic, your screen is dark and shaky, and the sounds of incoming fire bless your ears. If you're new to this game like I was, it'll feel like you're helpless because, well, you actually are. This game comes with a steep learning curve, but I'll get to that later. By this point, hopefully you found cover and are trying to return fire. Not accurately, of course. You can't see where the damn enemy is. You peek your head out of cover for a second, and you are very suddenly reminded of why that isn't a good idea. By this point, this firefight has been going on for a few minutes now, and you can't tell who's winning. If you're being honest with yourself, you have not the slightest idea of what's going on. Your squad mates are dragging friendly casualties back into cover as you try your best to provide covering fire. You find your squad trapped in a bad situation while waiting for support from another squad. By this time, in a normal first-person shooter, you'd have already gotten more than a few eliminations and ran back and forth from the map a couple times. It's been 5 actual real-life minutes, and you're still trapped behind the same car. That's when you realize it. Everything in squad is slow, but in a good way. It's the tension that builds up and reaches a climax that lasts longer and is more intense than any other match in any other game. It was boring up until this point, but my goodness, are you locked in right now. Your face is probably inches away from the screen. This is not a game you can launch and play half reclined on your couch. This is a game where you have to lock in, because if you don't and you fail to keep the enemy at bay, your squad and therefore your entire team will pay the price. If you lose this fight, the enemy will push up. If the enemy pushes up, they will reach the objective or your fob. If no one is there to stop them, it will set your team way behind points wise. This firefight matters. The grenade you throw matters. Each magazine spent during this fight matters. If you lose and your entire squad is wiped, you'll spawn back at base, so aim well. Part of winning and playing this game is knowing your role. In squad, there is no option to customize your gear and add all types of fancy attachments. You're no CIA operator, you're no Delta Force specialist, or any kind of special forces. You have a standard issue weapon for your faction, sometimes with a scope, sometimes without, and whatever else is included in your kit. In squad, there are 8 roles, and each are crucial in winning the match. These roles are rifleman, medic, machine gunner, marksman, squad leader, anti-tank, grenadier, automatic rifleman, and some sort of sapper or combat engineer. It's important to know what each of these does and how to play them. Let's go through these one by one. The squad leader carries a scoped weapon, has smoke grenades, the ability to speak to other squad leaders as well as the commander, and has the ability to place down rally points and other important placements for your team. A rifleman is usually what you're going to start out as. You will carry a standard issue assault rifle, a grenade, a shovel, and the all-important ammo bag. Riflemen have the ability to put down an ammo bag and resupply their team, which is really important. A medic carries bandages and a medic bag as well as a standard issue rifle. They can revive players faster, carry more bandages than other roles, and have the ability to heal others as well as themselves. A machine gunner carries around a huge gun that is capable of sustained fire and suppressing enemies effectively. Yes, the gun is really cool, but if you think you're going to run and gun in this game, be prepared for a rude awakening. Most of the time, you'll be stationary while playing this role. A marksman carries a weapon capable of long-range engagements. That's all I'm going to say about this role. The community can tell you what they think about this role. An automatic rifleman is something in between a machine gunner and a rifleman. They carry a rifle that has more rounds in a magazine and can provide sustained fire and is more mobile than a machine gunner. An anti-tank role is exactly what it sounds like. They're good for countering enemy armor as well as carrying a standard issue weapon. A grenadier carries a standard issue weapon as well as some sort of anti-infantry grenade launcher. Sappers or combat engineers are good at taking down enemy fobs and any emplacements you may may come across. Knowing your role and how to use it effectively is key to winning a match and being a useful squad member. There are entire YouTube videos teaching you on how to use each role. Each of them have their own little quirks that you need to learn to use the role the way it was intended. With the anti-tank roles in particular, you need to know what all the little markings in the scopes mean and how to calculate range. It's not enough just to point and shoot, because you will miss and then you will die because a tank will know exactly where you shot it from, and chances are it won't be happy. Speaking of tanks, in this game they are terrifying if you're infantry. The feeling of turning the corner and seeing an enemy tank staring you down is nothing short of pure dread. In this game there are two main types of armored vehicles: infantry fighting vehicles and tanks. Both suck having to deal with as an infantryman because unless you're anti-tank, you can't do anything against it. In squad you can play as 14 different factions, and some are just branches of different countries. Like for example, the United States has the Army as well as the Marine Corps. You have the British Army, the Canadians, the Australians, the Russian ground forces as well as the airborne, the PLA as well as the Navy, the insurgency, the regular militia, and the Middle Eastern Alliance, the Turkish land forces, and the Western PMCs. All of them have their own equipment and vehicles that are very different from one another. For example, an anti-tank launcher for the American Army won't work the same as the Middle Eastern alliances. Factions like the irregular militia and the insurgency use military surplus equipment and things like technicals and hell cannons. They can also build different types of emplacements than a conventional army, which makes them very fun to play as. My favorite part about this game is the long, drawn-out firefights. That is thanks to two very important features in this game: realistic weapons recoil and the suppression mechanic. One thing that makes this game very different from others is the fact that your weapons will be on semi-automatic most of the time, unless you're trying to miss. The full semi-automatic fire mode is only reserved for close combat. You know how in other games most firefights last a couple of seconds at best, and it happens at ranges of less than 50 meters? You know how that leads to really fun gameplay? Yeah, not in squad. In squad you'll be engaged at hundreds of meters. All this coupled with a realistic recoil, and you'll find yourself hitting everything except your actual target. Also, the suppression mechanic. Taking fire really sucks. Your screen will go blurry, and you won't hear a damn thing because of all the shooting and explosions. It really puts you in a situation and you really feel like you're about to die. Also, adding the fact that taking one hit will cripple you, and the next one will have you taking a dirt nap, and you'll want to stay in cover and choose your shots wisely. In your average game of squad, you have up to 2 hours per match. That's right, 2 hours. Part of the reason for this is the huge maps in this game. I'm talking around 4 square kilometers. Obviously, with maps that big, it's going to take a while for you to get anywhere to do anything. For around 60% of the match, you'll find yourself in some sort of transport vehicle trying to hitch a ride, or if all else fails, well, I hope you like hiking. In this game, it can get pretty cinematic, I can't lie. You'll hear explosions and gunfights in the distance, and helicopters transporting troops and equipment to and from objectives. It really is a feast for the eyes and ears. The last thing I want to talk about in this section is something that we all love: explosions. There are no shortage of explosions in this game, and they are accurate. Grenades are not those fireballs you might see in movies or in other games. They actually have shrapnel that spreads out and can hit you. The artillery and mortars launch dirt and a rock high up in the air. I hope you brought your helmet. There's no shortage of explosions in this game, but I'd like to talk more about them in the second part of this video. Speaking of,
Okay, I'm cold. I should be clear. Forward fuel low.
if you ever wanted to experience PTSD, just play squad. The best part about squad, well, one of the best parts, are explosions. Some are small, some are big, some are really, really big. The best team bonding exercise is holding a small objective against an overwhelming enemy force while being constantly shelled by mortars or artillery. Being holed up in a small house with all your pals while what sounds like the end of the world is happening outside is peak squad. You can't even do anything. All you can do is crouch, and if you believe in God, start praying. Stepping outside is just asking to be blown up and turned into hamburger meat. The sound design in this game really carries the explosions. Sure, any game can have cool explosions, but Battlefield 1 really showed us the value of having great sounding explosions. All types of bombs and explosions are going off right beside your ears. Grenades, mortars, artillery, incoming RPGs, outgoing RPGs, it just doesn't end. Meanwhile, your squad leader is barking orders in your ear, and it doesn't matter anyway because you can't hear him. You're just trying to survive the next minute. Making a last stand in this game while you're being attacked from all directions and being shelled by artillery would be fun if this game wasn't realistic. What actually happens is your adrenaline kicks in, you think that you're Rambo, and then you're violently reminded that you're just a man made of squishy, soft flesh that is now strewn about the entire base. This isn't Disneyland. If you manage to survive the shelling and the onslaught of enemy troops and the dust finally settles, you'll be shaken, changed, forever. Then you'll queue up for another match and do it all over again. An online game like Squad is nothing without the community. The Squad community is one of the best, especially if you're new to the game, at least in my experience. The people are friendly and are willing to teach you how to play the game. Chit-chatting with your squad members while you drive or walk to the objectives also gives this game a cozy vibe in between the chaos. People are funny and not afraid to joke around. Also, the players turning into voice actors as soon as they're hit and calling for medics is one of the reasons that I love Squad. You can meet all types of people while playing this game from all over the world. One of my fond memories in this game was when I was in a squad with a British guy and a Southern American gentleman. As soon as the American guy heard the British guy's accent, they pretty much immediately got into a political/cultural argument that lasted most of the match. It had all the markings of a European versus American online argument. They debated such intellectual topics such as the shape of one's teeth, the shootings that happen in one country and the stabbings that happen in another, and of course, whether it's called football or soccer and other such topics. Despite this, we still won. Speaking to your team using chat is not really an option, it's a necessity.
Careful, grenade, 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 grenade!
So if you're shy, don't pick up this game. This game is based around communication and you need to do it. This is one of the ways you can be useful for your team despite not being good at the actual gameplay. If you spot enemies for your team, learn how to use the map, and learn how to spot and classify enemy vehicles, that's a massive help for your team. Communication is important, and learning how to communicate well is even more important. Yelling, "Enemy over there!" is not going to help anyone. You need to utilize your compass, map, and landmarks you see to call out enemy soldiers. In this game, if you see something, say something. I once stopped a huge assault on our fortified position because I saw a few enemy soldiers running 200 meters from our building. Those couple of guys were attached to a couple of squads, and to say the least, artillery handled the situation. If you're not good at this game and want to get better, I actually recommend that you just spot for your team. Grab a rifleman kit that has binoculars and just spot enemies and call them out. Usually people will say to play medic if you're new, and that's good advice, but what worked for me is just getting out the old binocs, finding a hill or a building, and spotting enemy troop movements. This will teach you where to look, how to spot enemies, what all the factions look like, the maps, and how to communicate a lot faster than if you play medic, in my opinion. In most servers, a good call out would sound something like, "I got eyes on enemy troops due west of my current position, 400 meters out." Sometimes the squad leader will give you fire team lead and you can mark it on your map, and that's perfect. I love LARPing, and this game provides me no shortage of opportunities to indulge myself. There are classic matchups in this game which allow me to LARP to my heart's content, and the realistic nature of the game really amplifies this experience. Some of them are World War III matchups, any combination of United States versus Russia or China, classic Middle Eastern insurgency. I love LARPing as one of them, freedom fighters, or insurgents as you would call them, against Russian or any Western forces. You have old AKs and Soviet-era weaponry as you face against more modern militaries. This is always a fun matchup on either side. And my favorite is the irregular militia against American or Western forces, which is basically the Yugoslav wars. My favorite thing to do during these matches is pick up the medikit and LARP as a Serbian Orthodox priest that will not let his men die. I'm a relatively new squad player. As of writing the script, I only have 75 hours of playtime in this game, which for squad is next to nothing. So as a new player, let me remind some of the older players and warn some new players of the learning curve in this game. For the first 20 hours of this game, I didn't yet know that squad wasn't supposed to be fun. I thought it was like any other game, meant to be played for entertainment instead of cock and ball torture. So I would pick my loadout, join whatever squad, spawn in wherever the action was happening, and got ready to absolutely annihilate the enemy team. What instead ended up happening was I annihilated my own team, time and time again.
It's me.
Oh shit, my bad. I was typing "sorry team kill" in chat more than I was doing anything else. For the first 20 hours or so, you will be shooting at friendlies. I call this the Jocko Willing phase, where you shoot friendlies and take extreme responsibility for your actions, which is what that guy actually preaches, fun fact. You'll spend most of this phase confused at what this game exactly is supposed to be. You'll also be staring at the respawn screen. a lot. You'll mistake this game for Battlefield or Call of Duty and run across a street or a field with no smoke coverage and die. A lot. At this point, I had already spent the money required to purchase this game and passed the 2-hour limit for the refund. Therefore, I had no choice but to put more time into this game. So I decided to keep on keeping on and at least try to have fun. Another 20 hours passed, and now instead of shooting friendlies, now you're way more cautious. Now you shoot nobody. This is a jarhead phase. During the next 20 hours, you might accumulate some 3 to 5 kills in your playtime, and you will celebrate these. I know I did. At least you're shooting at who you're supposed to be shooting at. You might gain an understanding of the roles and how to play them, how to be a useful squad mate, how to communicate effectively, and you might know exactly what is going on during the battle. This phase lasts 20 hours, and then after that, you may actually learn how to play the game at a semi-decent level. You'll know what all the factions look like. You know what to look for when trying to see if a soldier is friendly or not. You'll get a decent amount of kills in a match, which in squad is like 6 to 10 if you're infantry. You'll be a lot more autonomous. You'll probably have a favorite kit and know how to use it well. Your callouts are accurate, and you're a real help to the squad and the team overall. You'll know not to charge into battle, how to cover your own troops and suppress the enemy, and most importantly, how to take your time. The average squad match lasts an hour, and when that clicks, you'll realize how much time you have to make smart moves, and everything will come together, and you'll actually be semi-okay at this game.
Okay, I've called. I should be clear. Fort fuel low.
Playing squad is a roller coaster of emotions. Truly, it takes you on a ride like no other game can. That's why I love it. To me, other shooter games have become predictable: run, shoot, die. Nothing wrong with that if that's what you're after, but if you want to challenge what first-person shooters can be, play squad. Thank goodness that the community will take you by the hand and teach you how to be good at this game. Just don't be scared to ask, and don't be scared to make mistakes. It's the only way we learn. Playing squad is the hardest lesson in ego death that you can buy. You learn that your personal skill is worthless without the 8 people around you. You are not the hero. You are a single disposable unit of will. While you play this game, you won't be rewarded with skins, attachments, or cooler guns. You'll be rewarded with something more crucial: the mastery of your own patience. You'll feel yourself getting better match by match, mastering the communications, the weapons, the maps, the strategies, and the tactics. The growth is much more noticeable because the game forces you to learn it, moment by slow, agonizing moment. Okay guys, that was my video on squad. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe for more videos like these because I have a lot more planned, if I could get my upload schedule back on track. If you want to see more videos from me, check out my Tarkov analysis or my RimWorld analysis. I also have some philosophical videos on my channel if that's more your thing. Anyway, thanks for being here, stay sublime, and have a good rest of your day.